Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The shepherds went in haste to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph and the infant lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known the message that had been told them about this child. All who heard it were amazed by what had been told them by the shepherds. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told to them. When 8 days were completed for his circumcision, he was named Jesus, the name given him by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise you, Lord Jesus.
I have to admit, I slept like a baby last night, but when I woke up this morning, I was like, we've gathered so much lately, I was very confused. What are we celebrating this morning? Is it Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, the Feast of the Holy Family? Then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, I remember. Today's feast is a solemnity, which is the church's way of indicating the utmost importance of what we're celebrating here today. Today, that subject matter, of course, is Mary, the Mother of God. Since Mary is the mother of Jesus, who is the Son of God, she is rightly understood to be the Mother of God. Being such an important person in the history of our salvation, you would think that information relating to what she did and said would be in abundance. That's not the case, however, if you check the Bible. The New Testament does not contain a great deal of information about Mary. And much of what is found is in Luke's infancy narrative that we just heard in the Gospel. So it's fitting today that we celebrate her and the fact that Luke let us know a little bit about her. And the main focus for today's liturgy is clearly the Gospel story about the shepherds quickly going to Bethlehem to find Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, and informing everyone about the good news regarding the exceptional identity of this child. That he was the Son of God, the Messiah that had been predicted and long awaited, and our Savior. The first part of the passage is fast-paced and filled with amazement. These shepherds have delivered some rather shocking and astonishing information. You could only imagine the uprise this caused. The people didn't expect the King, our Savior, the Messiah, the Lord, to be lying in a manger. Why would God choose to come to earth in that way if he wanted people to know that he was God? How did the shepherds find out about this? And what would happen next? What's interesting and significant in the midst of all this is how calm Mary remains. She takes in everything as she has heard in order that she might ponder, reflect on all that it could mean, and how she could possibly do what God was calling her to do. Whatever it meant would only evolve slowly for Mary, our mother. This was more of a time of quiet listening for her than for hasty actions. If you read about her, that's one thing we can learn from her. She always listened to what God was calling her to do. This is the way Mary is portrayed throughout the narratives of Luke's Gospel. She never pretends to understand more than she does. Mary always ponders before she speaks. And she's a model for all believers in that she exemplifies faith, peace, and contemplation. What we all could use more of in this world today, I believe. Faith, peace, and contemplation. We heard that the shepherds returned to their flocks delivering their divine message. Joseph, Mary, and Jesus move on to the next thing. They had to find a name for this Messiah that she had given birth to. And you have to remember that this is a very important ritual throughout our history. If you read the genealogy, the naming is very important to God's people. Both Mary and Joseph take this religious obligation seriously and responsibly. The child, of course, is given the name Jesus, which tells of his mission. The name Jesus means God saves. Christian piety and devotion will portray Mary in various ways. Nevertheless, the most inspiring thing about Mary throughout Luke's Gospel is that she appears so ordinary, so human, and so real, just like the rest of us. Her humanity is always transparent. But at the same time, as we know, since we're celebrating her today, 2017 years later, she is absolutely extraordinary because she is the Mother of God and our Mother. She is the most perfect example of how God so often reveals the extraordinary through the ordinary. I think that's definitely worth all of us pondering as we enter into this new year. We can each be more like Mary, our Mother. We can each be closer to her Son, Jesus. My grandmother used to always tell me, if you're not feeling close to Jesus, go back to his mother. She'll always take you right back to him. And that is the truth. Mary, our Mother, brought Jesus to us and always will. So this year we can each try to be more like her. Accept God's will in our lives, no matter what it is. Have faith in what God is doing with us. Try to live that faith in a sense of peace, and contemplate and pray what God will do with our lives in this new year.